my thing is, the Lanark Village has boat storage property that they rent out that makes money for them to do the different events during the year out there at Lanark.
Very, very critical.
And that would be in competition with them, and of course, competition's good for everybody, right? But I'm concerned about that. You could be made by county to put a fence up 10 feet high or whatever. But my concern with this whole thing is the distance between the residential and your edge of your property. Is it a 10-foot setback, Amy?
Yes, ma'am, that is 10 feet from.
10 feet?
And that's both properties?
Those are side setbacks, 10 feet on the side.
On both properties?
It's
The
the
one
law.
adjoining the two R1s?
There's a 10-foot setback, from this red line.
On
And
Mr.
25
Buck-
feet from, the side property lines.
Okay. Let me ask you something. Did you send out notices to all the adjacent property owners in that area
Yes.
as a public, this was a public hearing? And we've only got Mr. Henny over here objecting to it. But his objection, you know, we have to take that in consideration.
How many letters of objection, did you receive?
I haven't received any.
You received no letters of objection?
No.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to figure out is where you see the houses there, what is the setback on that property? From
Those are in
the
S4
current,
district.
from the R1 they have? Huh?
That is in the S4 district. There is different,
There's a special district.
I'd have to look it up.
Well, so, right now, the red parcel is zoned R1, correct? Correct.
This
That's
is
correct.
R1, single-family residential.
So their setbacks
There's
are
a
10 feet.
10 feet.
Or 10 feet. The S4 district, those are all existing buildings, they could build back, and as Cliff said, they're probably 30 inches from the property line. They're jammed in there, but that's because they were existing Camp Gordon Johnson, structures.
Everything over there is strange.
Everything's jammed.
Well, it's S4, but there needs to be a buffer between commercial and residential. And S4 in the special district out there in Lanark, that gives it special looking at, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why the S4 was,
I mean, one of the
oh,
new-
fine.
But this property was specifically excluded from S4.
Yeah.
By what?
It's never been part of it.
No.
I mean, one of the incentives perhaps to go to commercial is that if it's commercial development, it has to have a stormwater management plan, it has to deal with stormwater. If it was just residential, you could put a house in there in a driveway and, who knows where the water goes. But if you build commercial structures, you have to, we require part of the planning process, a stormwater plan for that parcel. So you get some protection under commercial, then you.
But that doesn't sell it though, Alan,
I know.
because we just got through saying we remedied the problem by putting that stormwater retention
Right, but
system
they don't know what
in.
it's gonna do. They still have to do
Yeah,
it. They still have to do
he
it.
agreed, he agreed.
And a lot of things, it being R1 right now, it reduces their permeable space to 50%. You can't develop it more than 50% of the property percentage.
Yeah,
And ours, C2, it's 80%. So that gives them an additional space to include in their 80%. I'm just putting information out there. I'm not.
I know.
I'm neutral
That's
here.
that's why I asked the questions I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Since Commissioner Sanders brought it up, what kind of zoning do you have to have a buffer between commercial and residential?
I don't know.
Uh,
But in most areas, you have more than 10 foot, that's what I was just thinking. And this is a rare thing. And what I want to do is I want to please you, but I also want to please them too. See what I'm saying?
If I can make a correction, Mr. Haney was saying that he's the only one that has the apartments here. The trust owned the first three, and my brother Joe owns the fourth one.
I
Now,
thought he did.
Tony bought the two in the middle, Mr. Haney did. But you still have Natalie Little and Dallas Reams, who owns the inn.
Yeah,
So in fact, we own 4 of them, and now we own 2 of them. So there's actually 4 property owners
yeah,
on that side.
Yeah.
And I understand Mr. Haney's concern, but when my brother, if you want to call it, made a handshake, we didn't go through a realtor. And if I'm not mistaken, we had the, little ATVs that can get in there. He understood that when this was done, he only owned up to the sidewalk. His concern is we might try to build to the sidewalk, and we can't do that. And I was just thinking, if we continued with the small storage, which the boat club, the Lanark Village doesn't have units. And speaking on us impacting Lanark Village, we have boats and trailers and extra cars that are not meeting the S4 code, and they need a place to go.
yeah.
And as far as helping them, I'm working with Barry Greer, who's here, to try to get another 200 feet by 200 feet north of the existing. And we're working with the city commission to see if we can lease that, just like we used to lease it from
Yeah.
the Lanark Water Sewer.
That's right.
So it's not that I'm sitting here as a trustee trying to compete with them, but there's certain things that won't fit in there. I mean, we've got an enclosed trailer that's been there for like 2 years that's just sitting on the property. And if it gets to be a eyesore, we can put fencing around that to make it more like a complete storage.
Well, that's what I was trying to do, and I do know little Joe has the place out there, and I know, got that other. But I was just trying to, me, I'm trying to be the,
Yeah. And I will
The
tell you,
main
we've got
person.
the 23-6, the inn unit, a 1-bedroom, which, by the way, is currently for sale. We're trying to close down that income trust that my mother had set up back in '95. It included that Lot 2, which is in Block 6, and included 3 of those apartments, 2 of which Mr. Haney purchased.
oh, okay.
So, it wasn't like, if it's R1 or commercial, I don't see how it impacts at least the access, because it's going to be 10 feet away. Now, if it's a matter of the aesthetics, that can be dealt
That's
with.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I know you all have always been willing to work to try to get something done, and that's what I'm saying. Mr. Henny is saying he doesn't want to look out there and see a storage yard, out there,
Yeah.
but, I mean,
One more comment, that piece of property, if I'm not mistaken, that we're talking about, that piece of property and the next piece of property are both, if I'm not mistaken, the larger piece is up for sale as well. So
Correct.
there's a for sale sign there where the properties are, and they're trying to sell it for quite some time.
Correct.
So
And that's a
the
different
thing is,
trust.
you put them both together as commercial,
Yeah.
then the property will sell for more money. And then I don't know what'll happen when someone
Yeah.
else comes in and purchases the property.
But I can tell you this, we were trying to sell it as a large building with 1,800 square feet in the inside and 5 stores up front. Like I said, we have not been able to get businesses in there. So we've changed our actual listing with Lynn Cooper and changed our general liability to make it storage, because that's the only thing that's happening out there. And if somebody from Lanark Village wants to, chime in about the need of clearing up the street, we have some people have 3 cars parked
we're,
on one
we're working on that. We're working on that, David.
Right, but this, I see this as being part of the solution. And we can do that without that lot. I do understand that.
Well, and Mr. Jim's point of the drainage is like Alan said, when you do a commercial setting, then you do more stormwater drainage stuff. So that'll take care of that. And we can require a privacy fence to come up through planning and zoning. We have done that before through P&Z. A privacy fence to come all the way down. I'm just, and I appreciate Mr. Henny's opinion of that and his concerns.
Would not a wooded buffer right there instead of?
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying.
Instead of a fence, serve the same purpose, but be more aesthetically pleasing? A wooded buffer?
Yeah.
Plants or something?
There is
Yeah.
a wooded buffer there now.
There is?
Yeah, see it right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Well,
got like
it's there, but if it's R1, and I don't know about the elevation of building there from water, we can probably put it on the ground, but they also can build it up to the air within the planning
You
and
don't
zoning
build
limitations.
nothing up in the air, David.
No, we don't, but there is, but as far as setting precedent, that might be something that'll come back before the board. There's other people
Yeah.
that own R1 inside a S4 block.
I know.
Okay. Well, you were there, you were there last month.
I know.
And it's not,
And
it's
it-
not that we're saying we would do that. I mean,
I
we're
know.
looking to put storage in there.
That's why we need the Land Art Village Review Committee again, so.
Yes.
I feel like if the commission finds valid reason to turn down a request, they've just created a very valid reason to buy that property. I'm not aware of private citizens being asked to use their property for the benefit of the community.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the ditch, which I don't think is necessary. And, you know, there's a lot of things I don't want to say here.
Right.
I don't want to go into certain things that, no need to bring up old history. But I don't see any reason to turn down the request.
Yeah, he's all right, we can hear. Yeah, I mean, I don't, and that's the thing, I don't see no reason either. And
We have more
let
public
somebody else.
comment. Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Cecile Hance. I live on Mill Road, but I've been on the recipient side of being residential and then commercial coming right next door. And in that case, with the rezoning of the property, some of the things that we're talking about here came into play, like, you know, can we have a buffer? You know, can we have a fence? Can we please have lighting that is not obtrusive to the neighborhood?
right.
What about noise that's going to be generated and stormwater, you know, and things like that. So in our case, the case that I was involved in where it directly impacted me, I had, you know, we did work, this was in the city of Perry, and we worked with the planning and zoning and with the owner of the property as it got rezoned so that, you know, the security lighting wasn't coming into our neighborhood. When it first went up, you could see all the way through our neighborhood. There was so much light that was coming into our houses, and it was unbelievable. But we worked with that business, you know, worked with the city and had, you know, they've got privacy fencing up now and muted lighting that's more directed toward the business and not out toward the public. But you do run into noise issues too. So, you know, it's just something to consider. And, you know, as a resident and you want your woods or you want something, a pleasant surrounding, you know, because you want to enjoy where you live, you know, if you can work together to, you know, put buffers in place and something that's more appealing and make sure you don't have a lot of noise and a lot of light going on, that's awesome. You know, of course, you can't tell, you know, David and his brothers may not be the ones that end up building on it, but if the county or the, you know, Land Art can have, you know, plans in place to have buffers and everybody's agreeable, you know, you can have a win-win situation on that.
Yeah.
Any other public comment on this issue?
Mr. Chairman, well, we need to wait for them to come back then before we do that. I want it to be a vote of all the board here. But he'll be back in just a minute. Amy, one more question. How many R1 units is there now that has apartments right there in that vicinity
In
that
that
we're talking to?
vicinity, off the top of my head, I don't
Next to the-
know.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You got Dallas, Raymond, them. Okay, so out of all the property owners that has that, you have Mr. Henny here. Okay.
Seems to be about right around 6.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve the C2 commercial. Well, I know we gotta go through it, but at the time that I'll make a motion to approve it, I want to also include that when they come out, whoever it is, whether it be the Butlers or whoever buys the property, that they are aware that there's certain buffers, aesthetics, lighting issues that they're gonna have to face, and you put it to a higher discretion because of the residential part of it. And
And a lot of that'll be addressed during commercial site plan review,
Yeah.
and try to
But I want
alleviate
it on
any
the
kind of-
record.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want it on the record, to where it be on the record and be done. Because I know David, and I know Mr. Cliff, and I knew their daddy, and he was a good man. And I know when they give you your word, they work. It works. Okay, so what we do now, we have the zoning, right?
Yes, ma'am, it would be land use.
Mr. Chairman, if I may
Go ahead.
legal advice, the first motion would be a motion to approve the land use change from residential to commercial.
Okay.
And then if that passes, the next motion would be to rezone to, from residential.
Okay.
to C2, is that
C2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to rezone from residential to commercial.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, and the next thing is the zoning, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we're gonna rezone it from R1 residential to C2 commercial,
Yes, ma'am.
given those caveats in it, or not, or whatever you wanna call them.
Yes, ma'am.
But, and that's the way it's gonna be.
We have a
That's my
mo,
motion.
we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders. Second by Commissioner Jones. Discussion. All right, Cliff.
I appreciate what Mr. Sanders is doing, but one question is, if you talk about fences and buffers, that will come close to the property line. If we work with the county and say, leave a bigger buffer there and leave it open where it's not fenced off,
Yeah.
would it be
With the-
mandatory that
With the
they?
plants and stuff.
That would be, that would be on your
That's
site
all the site
plan.
plan.
I just want to make sure we're not locked in one way.
No,
No, you're not locked into
We just
anything.
want you not to have any noise and no lights to interfere with Mr. Henny, because it appears to me that he's not happy, but I can't help it. I gotta do what's right. And I can't deny that, there's no reason to deny it. It's like Cliff said, there's no reason to deny it. We're gonna take extra precautions at it. It has been residential, I mean, it has been commercial since the 1940s out there. I remember when the IGA store was out there. I was a little girl, we're not gonna go all the way into that. Tony remembers it too, but we're not gonna go into that, because you're talking to some old timers here. So, that's my motion, Mr.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries also.
Okay, that concludes me. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
You
and
too.
see you at the
We'll
first-
You got a good Christmas coming.
We'll
Yeah,
recess
all right,
5 minutes.
have one.
You already